About 2 years is a lot less time than it was for 6, right? Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Pokémon SoulSilver. It's about time we got back to this franchise, continuing on our remake train. I'll first tell you important things about the game. Please touch any topic you'd like to know more about on the lower screen. We're gonna basically ignore this because I'm gonna be going over all this information as we progress anyway. So let's just get into our usual intro bit. A guest. At this hour. Sorry to keep you waiting. Welcome to the world of Pokémon. My name is Professor Oak, but everyone calls me the Pokémon Professor. Before we go any further, I'd like to tell you a few things you should know about this world. This world is widely inhabited by creatures known as Pokémon. We humans live alongside Pokémon as friends. At times we play together, and at other times we work together. Some people use their Pokémon to battle and develop closer bonds with them. Now, why don't you tell me a little about yourself? Are you a boy, or are you a girl? Won't you please tell me? This only changes sprites that show up at certain points, basically. So you're a boy then? Yep. Please tell me your name. Well, if any of y'all have been watching for a while, you know by now my name is Kyle, so we're gonna go with that. In canon, this character's name is Ethan, the girl's name is Lyra. Your name is Kyle? Yes, Oak, I was very clear about that. Come on, man, listen. Kyle, are you ready? Your very own tale of grand adventures about to unfold. Fun experiences, difficult experiences. There's so much waiting for you. Dreams, adventure. Let's go to the world of Pokémon. I'll see you later. Oh god, my spine! And thus we begin in our room as usual. You can check your PC for some minor things, namely a letter from Lyra. Adventure! Excited! I love Pokemon, Lyra. I think this is the only game in the series from memory that there's not a potion in your PC waiting for you to be grabbed, which is a bit weird. Hi Kyle, you're finally awake. Your friend Lyra was just here. She was playing hide and seek with her Meryl. Oh, I almost forgot, our acquaintance Professor Elm was looking for you. He said he had a favor to ask of you. You know where the lab is, right? It's right next door to us. By the way, do you have everything you need to go out? Here, use this bag to carry things. This is your trainer card. Here you can save a record of your progress. These are also rather helpful. Just try touching the buttons and you know what to do in no time. Alright, so she gave us the most basic of menu stuff. She gave us our bag, which is where our inventory is kept, our options where you can set some things like text speed, whether or not you want the battle animations to play out, what your dialogue window is. I'm by and large going with the default. Set them up however you feel best, and let's head outside to see our town of New Bark. Automatically a better town than Pallet Town because it has 4 buildings instead of 3. Hello there, tiny thing. How are you? And I guess we're just not gonna speak of that again. Weird. Now, I genuinely cannot remember, but I don't think this house had this upstairs segment in the original game. If that staircase was there, I don't think you could interact with it. The main reason I say I think is, I haven't touched Gold, Silver, and Crystal since I did that LP, and I had to look up a moment ago to see how long ago it was. That concluded almost 9 years ago. Started over 10 years ago, so it's been a hot minute. By and large, NPCs in Pokemon are more helpful than your average RPG NPC, in that they either tell you some minor things about the town's culture itself, or hint towards some behind-the-scenes mechanic that Pokemon has, because there are a surprising amount that aren't immediately obvious unless you look into them. I'm not going to be talking to every NPC because I feel some Pokemon LPs do that and end up taking too long in each particular town, but I am going to be talking to a fair amount. Kyle! Professor Elm was looking for you. Did you go to his lab? No, we have not, but we're going to be heading over there momentarily. If the walking speed at the start of the game seems a little slow, don't worry, they do fix that as soon as the next town. Although I forget if that was in the original game. I think that was added for remake in Gen 3. So this is the famous Elm Pokemon Lab. What are you staring at? Well, gee, rude. It's fine, just ignore you and go in here, damn it. Huh? Me? I'm not the professor. He's at the back of the room. Why, thank you, Mr. Aide. Hi, Kyle. I've been waiting for you. Do you know anything about my research? As you know, Pokemon are carried in Pokeballs these days. But before the Pokeball was invented, people used to walk with Pokemon. Just like your friend Lyra does. Pokeballs are great because you can carry many Pokemon, but walking with them must have some advantages. It could have something to do with how Pokemon grow or evolve. So I'm going to give you a Pokemon. Can you walk beside this Pokemon outside of its Pokeball to see if this brings any special feelings or bonds between Pokemon and people? The device over there has some Pokemon you could choose from. Oh, hey, I got an email. Okay. Hey, listen, I have this acquaintance that people call Mr. Pokemon. He keeps finding weird things and raving about his discoveries. Anyway, I just got an email from him saying that this time it's real. It's probably another Pokemon egg, but we're still so busy with our Pokemon research. Wait, I know. You can go in our place, right? Can we count on you? You can choose one of the Pokemon over there. And so we get to choose our starter. We got the usual 3 types here. We've got Cyndaquil, the fire type. This Pokemon's line generally specializes in speed and special attack from memory. Totodile, the water type. This thing is very focused on physical attack and defense. And we got the grass type, Chikorita, which its evolutionary line is very focused on special and physical defense without much in the attack stats in comparison. But if you know me, you know I'm going to take Cyndaquil, the fire type Pokemon, because I am fire starters or bust in most cases. And we got ourselves our Cyndaquil, and look at it, it's so adorable. And give a nickname to Cyndaquil? Yes, we will. Nicknames are just to help personalize your team. I always nickname my fire starters Blaze. Is Blaze the nickname you want to give? Yep. How do you like walking with your Pokemon? It's not bad, is it? You can take it all the way to Mr. Pokemon's house. If your Pokemon gets hurt, you should heal it with this machine. It's so easy to use, just check the PC on my desk. Mr. Pokemon goes everywhere and finds rarities. His house is past Cherry Grove City. Go north a little past Cherry Grove. I'm counting on you, Kyle. And thus our adventure begins properly. That is, once this aide is done talking to us. Kyle, why don't you have these to help with your task? And he gives us 5 potions. Pokemon are weak in the beginning. Don't hesitate to use a potion if you think yours is in danger. Potions heal your Pokemon's HP by, I believe, 20? You're going to be using those a good amount throughout the game if you're someone who doesn't like to backtrack a lot, at least. Kyle! So you picked a Cyndaquil. That's a cute Pokemon you have. When you walk with it, it'll become more friendly. You should turn around and talk to it sometimes, too. Oh, that's right. Why don't you show it to your mom? See ya. Yeah, Pokemon following you, rather, was something that I believe was only in this until I believe Scarlet and Violet supposedly is bringing it back. So let's take a look at Blaze's stats to start. Quirky nature up there at the top left, that means that it has basically neutral stat values. Nothing's boosted or lowered. I'll talk more about what natures do in depth later on. So let's talk about stats. Attack determines how much damage your Pokemon does with a physical-based attack. Defense is using that same calculation to determine how little damage you take. Special attack and defense are that, but for special attacks. Speed is how fast your Pokemon moves in battle. Higher goes first, barring priority moves, and in the event of a tie, I believe it's a coin flip. Abilities were added back in Gen 3. Those are each Pokemon's specialty. Like Blaze here, will power up their Fire-type moves when they're lower on HP. Down there are our moves. We got Leer, which lowers the defense of an opponent Pokemon. Tackle is just a weak physical move. But notice I keep saying physical and special moves. Let's talk about that real quick. For those who don't know, after the mess that was the singular special stat in Generation 1, the original Generation 2 game split it into the special attack and special defense stats, with moves using either the special attack or physical attack stats to determine their damage. The problem was, which stat it used was entirely dependent on the type of the move. For instance, fire and water type attacks only used the special attack stat, rock and fighting type moves only used the physical attack stat. This isn't a problem at first glance, but then you have some outlier Pokemon that couldn't take good advantage of their type due to their stats. For instance, and rather famously, Flareon is a Fire-type Pokemon who radically specializes in their physical attack stat, while the special attack stat their type used was just okay. Similarly, 90% of Ghost-type Pokemon prior to Generation 4 were specially minded, but Ghost-type used the physical attack stat. In cases like that, they did try to work around it slightly by introducing Pokemon more catered to the needed attack type, like Banette was a physically minded Ghost in Generation 3, but they realized before Gen 4 was released that this imbalance needed to be addressed. Hence, the physical special split. Starting in Generation 4, moves are now categorized into physical and special attacks that are no longer dictated by their type. Usually the decision between physical or special depends on whether the attack makes physical contact with the opponent. To assist this, many moves were reclassified and other moves were created within the types like Fire Fang for the Fire type, Zen Headbutt for the Psychic type, etc., to help Pokemon like Flareon take a better advantage of their abilities. Some Pokemon were nerfed by the split. Alakazam, notably in Gen 1 through 3, could learn all the formerly special stat using Elemental Punches, but those are all now physical moves, thus weakening some Pokemon's moveset potential. But casually speaking, most Pokemon were made more viable. Note that I say casually speaking because that's the type of Pokemon player I am. I don't really do multiplayer, I never did any kind of competitive, so my opinions on Pokemon moving forward are going to be from a casual perspective. Oh, Kyle, that's a cute Pokemon you have. Professor Elm must have given it to you. Oh, Professor Elm has a task for you, you say. What kind? I see, that sounds a little difficult. When someone makes that kind of request for you, it must be important. Oh, that's right, I completely forgot. Your Pokegear came back from the repair shop. Here you go. And we got our Pokegear. This is sort of one of Gen 2's defining mechanics. The Pokemon Gear, or Pokegear as it's often called, is what every trainer should have. Guess what? You can use the Pokegear to make a phone call too. Do you remember how? Yes. Just power on the Pokegear and touch the telephone button, okay? The names of the people you can call are automatically registered. Just select one to give them a phone call. Wow, I can't believe it's so easy to make a phone call. Ah, the Pokegear. Definitely one of the more dated concepts in Pokemon because it was sort of a smartphone before smartphones were a thing, and it's more limited than any smartphone I've ever seen. Mind you, they had no idea what technology would progress like back when Gold, Silver, and Crystal were released, let alone Heart Gold, Soul Silver, so... Wait 1 second. I almost completely forgot about this. Here, I'll give you my number. By and large, anyone you call does have some sort of purpose. I'll call you if anything comes up. In most cases, the two we have to start, Professor Elm will call you at certain plot beats, and your mother will call you every now and then after a trainer battle, for reasons we'll get into later on. For now, it's time for us to head west into our first wild Pokemon battle. This is... Rattata. Normal type, so it's weak to fighting type Pokemon exclusively, or type moves, immune to ghosts. Rattata as a Pokemon, it's got some decent speed behind it, although by the time it eventually evolves, its speed isn't exactly as high for the point in the game it's going to be at. So it's a good starter mon if you're just trying to find something to put onto your team to help fill it out a little bit, but I'm not going to be looking into catching one of these anytime soon. And I suppose I should get into this right now. I'm the type of Pokemon player who only catches Pokemon I know I'm going to use in some form, or if they're important Pokemon. So I'm more or less just focusing on what my core team's going to be in terms of catching down the road. But we'll talk more about catching when we are able to catch, because right now you kind of just have to go through the routes and just fight, really. But now we got our next new Pokemon. This is Hoot Hoot, normal flying type, so it's weak to rock, electric, and ice, immune to ground and ghosts. This Pokemon line I've never been a big fan of. It doesn't get any real standout stats by the time it reaches its end goal, except for maybe a decently high HP stat from memory. It can do well for a flyer in early game, but again, there's just better choices, I find, overall. And I should note, here on Route 29, there are 4 Pokemon you can run into, but which ones you run into depends on your time of day. Gen 2, when it was new, was the first Pokemon to have an in-game clock system that changed what the world was like depending on what time of day you were playing. For instance, when I recorded the first session here, you can tell it's late at night because I think I recorded this at like 2 in the morning, somewhere like that. whenever a route has Pokemon that are exclusive to certain times, I'll try to note it. For instance, Hoot Hoot here can only be found at night. Meanwhile, Rattata is the only other thing you can find around here at night. During the day, you can find Pidgey and Sentryx around here, which are more or less the same type of Pokemon. In terms of their general use and even somewhat on their stat drains. They're early game wrap Pokemon. They're usually not too remarkable. Hi, how are your Pokemon? If they're weak and not ready to battle, keep it on the tall grass. Problem with that, most routes require you to walk through tall grass at least once, here in Johto at least. Usually the choice will be either you have to walk through some tall grass, do a trainer battle, or you have to have a specific move to go through the shortcut, if there is one. So right here, I'm actually going to use my first save, and here we have one of the biggest problems of Gen 4, or Heart Gold Soul Silver, saving a lot of data. This takes some time. I think it's a little longer on actual hardware because, no secret here, I don't have a DS capture card, so I am emulating this, but it still takes a while. I'm going to be jump cutting past most saving. I just want to show the first 2 times I save, period, since it's a lot of saving and a normal save, so you can get kind of a feel for what it's like, scale-wise. Different kinds of Pokemon appear past here. If you want to catch them all, you have to look everywhere. Sort of. Welcome to Route 46. This is not much of a route we can explore at the moment. A dead end? Did I take the wrong path? I didn't know this is only one way. Yes, it is. We can't come back to this route and do anything above us to the north for a long time, but if you're playing Crystal, you can notably find a unique Pokemon here known as Phanpy, who is a pretty decent Pokemon if you want to grab that, but here in SoulSilver, all we can find down there are Rattata, Spearow, and Geodudes. If there's one I can recommend catching when you're able to there, it's probably a Geodude, because that can come in handy against the first major boss fight, but it's not too needed. Also, as you saw, that we're going to be jumping past any repeat battles against Pokemon. If there's a new one, we'll show it off, but anything we've seen before, just to save on time, we're going to be skipping past. My usual RPG mentality, really.
You're a rookie trainer, aren't you? I can tell. That's okay. Everyone's a rookie at some point. If you'd like, I could teach you a few things. Okay then, follow me.
That was pretty fast, guy.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you weren't wearing the running shoes. I'll try to go as slow as possible, so try keeping up. This is a Pokemon Center. They heal your Pokemon in no time at all. Free healthcare joke. You'll be relying on them a lot, so you better learn about them. This is a Pokemart. They sell Pokeballs for catching wild Pokemon and other useful items,
like potions and status healers in the case they have any.
Route 30 is out this way. Trainers will be battling their Pokemon there. If you go a little farther, you'll see Mr. Pokemon's house. This is the sea, as you can see. Some Pokemon are only found in water.
We won't be exploring that particular region of town for a long-ass time.
Here, it's my house. For your efforts keeping up with me, I'll give you my running shoes. They're still warm.
Ew.
Got you, didn't I? Don't worry, these are brand new.
And now we get the running shoes. These were initially added in Gen 3 just to help speeding things along. The instructions read, touch the sprint button on the touchscreen to sprint. It also says hold the B button down to sprint. I think this is the only game to give you this option, but they give you an auto dash if you just tap that button down there in the bottom right there. I am gonna opt for using the B button sprint method through most of the game because it's just more natural to me at this point. But I at least appreciate them giving you the option. I'm really surprised they haven't given you that since. Mind you, starting in Gen 6 anyway, from memory, your natural speed was running, so I guess they kind of got around it anyway. But it is a little weird that they didn't do this sooner, like even in the original portions of Gen 4. Speaking of which, the main reason I am doing a Generation 4 remake of Generation 2 rather than just redoing a Generation 2 LP mostly comes down to mechanical interest. I find Pokemon a lot more interesting and relevant nowadays with stuff like the abilities, the physical special split. It's just easier for me to get into and talk about it, plus there's more to talk about, plus there's more content in there. It's just, I feel the more complete feeling experience. That's the main reason I'm doing the remakes for at least the first 3 generations. Back when I did Fire Red, I said I was going to do the Generation 4 remake. But that was before what we knew Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl would look like, or even that it existed. And frankly, Platinum looks to be the more complete experience when we get to that eventually. This here is our Pokemon Center. If you're doing a lot of stuff in the game, you're going to be here a lot. Because this is where you heal your Pokemon up for free. This is where you can store or set up your teams differently using the PC here. This is also where you can access any of the multiplayer stuff if you're able to do it. Obviously, the multiplayer features were more relevant back when the DS was the relevant Nintendo handheld. Not only that, the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection shut down years ago at this point, so you can't even use the online features in this anymore, barring, I think some, like, fan versions on emulators or fan servers and stuff. So, in that regard, older Pokemon games are definitely not as content-filled inherently as they used to be, because some features are just shut down nowadays. I'm gonna try my best to show off these games to the best of my ability, but that's just it, to the best of my ability. We'll talk about Pokemarts later down the road, because I feel I'll be able to talk about them more fluidly there, though. Hello again!
I made it. I forgot about one thing. This is another token from me. Take it.
The Guy-Jet loaded the map card onto our Pokegear. And we can now see the town map.
You'll see the map of the region you're currently in. The Pokegear becomes more useful as you add cards. I wish you luck on your journey.
So this is what I meant by the Pokegear getting better as we go through, because we get extra abilities for it, like the ability to see the map. I do prefer other ways of using the map in the series, like just having an item you can register to use it as, or it just being on the bottom screen permanently in some cases. But this does. That's the layout of Johto. Get to know it. We're going to be here for a bit. With that said, welcome to Route 30. Depending on the version you're playing, the Pokemon here vary, as while there's still Pidgeys, Hoothoots, and Rattatas no matter which version, the bug-type Pokemon you can find here radically change depending on the version. For instance, over in Heart Gold you can find Caterpies and Metapods, and I think Spinarak's, whereas over here we can find Weedles, Kakunas, and Ladybuzz. Hey, kiddo! How in the world can you be so oblivious to my eye-catching house? Hold it right there. When you follow that path up north, you'll see Mr. Pokemon's house. But before you go, let me finish what I have to say. Do you have any apricorns? Apricorn trees bear fruit once a day. I have one of those trees too. Apricorns are really something. You can make Pokeballs and other things. They're quite useful. I have a feeling this is meant to be, because I have something for you. And we get the Apricorn box. With that Apricorn box, you can carry so many Apricorns. You'll be a decent Apricorn collector. No, I won't. Apricorns, they replenish once a day, like he just said, and we use these for, namely, making a couple of different items at a couple of specific locations. But I'm not really putting the time in for them, because I don't find those items too useful. In fact, I find items you can get in main Gen 4 and Gen 5 beyond much more useful in terms of some of their counterparts. A Pokemon can use its moves as long as the moves still have PP. When a move has no PP remaining, the Pokemon cannot use that move, and you should take your Pokemon to a Pokemon Center. Yeah, I briefly showed it off at the start, but down on the bottom screen here, like Tackle, Leer, and Smokescreen, they all have PP, and when you run out of those, you can no longer use the move, unless you go to a Pokemon Center. With that said, if you're out of moves, you're not doomed to lose the fight. Your Pokemon will just start using Struggle, which is a move that I believe is normal type, if it has a type at all, and damages your Pokemon almost as much as it damages the opponent. It's really bad if you get to that state. There are items you can use to replenish PP, namely Ethers, Elixirs, all that stuff. You can buy those at Pokemarts. We'll be grabbing a few of those as we go through, honestly. But with that, welcome to Mr. Pokemon's house. Let's see what we're here to get. You must be Kyle. It was I who sent an email to Professor Elm earlier. This is what I want Professor Elm to examine. And we get a mystery egg. Okay. A friend of mine from Akriti gave it to me. I bet you can't find this kind of egg in Johto. I thought Professor Elm might be able to tell what this is. He's the best when it comes to the research of Pokemon evolution. That's a quote from the famous Professor Oak. Now return to Professor Elm. Here, your Pokemon should have some rest.
And with that, I'm Professor Oak, a Pokémon researcher. So you're Kyle. I was just visiting my friend Mr. Pokémon. I heard you were running an errand for Professor Elm, so I waited here. Oh, what's this? A rare Pokémon. I see, you must be helping Professor Elm's research. I think I understand why Professor Elm gave you that Pokémon. You'll treat your Pokémon with love and care, it seems. Ah, you seem to be dependable. How would you like to help me out? See, this is the latest version of the Pokédex. It automatically records data on the Pokémon you've seen or caught. It's a high-tech encyclopedia. I'd like you to have it. And we get the last thing on the bottom screen, the Pokédex. Go meet many kinds of Pokémon and complete that Pokédex. But I've stayed too long. I had to go get to Goldenrod for my usual radio show. Kyle, I have a feeling this is not the last time we'll meet. Let's exchange numbers just to be on the safe side. And this allows you to call Professor Oak for him to check on your Pokédex as well. Not that I'm going to be doing that at all because I don't care about the Pokédex completion. The last time I completed a Pokédex completely was actually Heart Gold and SoulSilver. Because between having both of those versions, having Diamond and Platinum, as well as all 5 GBA games, at least the main games, and Ranger, I was more or less able to complete the Pokédex, barring the use of the GTS here and there, more about what the GTS is down the road. But we're not focusing that through this LP because I just don't feel it's worth the effort. But yeah, this is the Pokédex. You can see biographical data about Pokemon, descriptions, physical data. It's more or less just world building for the most part. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, we're going to take that egg back to Professor Elm to see what he thinks about it. See you guys then.